within 1 week. Shout out your boy. Twitter took down at Sam Tripoli.
The big tech overlords are ramping up social media censorship. Today, we talk about what's going on and why with someone who just last week was deplatformed. And then we are going to talk one of my favorite subjects, one that involves just about every conspiracy theory that you can think of, from aliens to mind control experimentation to time travel. We're talking Montauk Project with a special guest who has had boots on the ground at the infamous Camp Hero. You're listening to the Propaganda Report. I'm Brad Binkley here with Monica Perez. Monica?
Hey, how you doing? This is super exciting. I'm very excited about this.
I'm very excited about our guest today. He's a stand-up comedian, a conspiracy researcher, and host of one of my favorite podcasts, the Tinfoil Hat Podcast, Sam Tripoli. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Researcher, that's cute. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. You guys, I know I was joking about research, but I really love all the stuff you guys do, and you guys really are the best researchers in the group of the people I get to interview and talk to. So I appreciate you guys having me on, and I find this interesting because I've been using Zoom the whole time. That Zoom is just like every other Chinese freaking thing. They just jack everyone else's stuff, and then we're just like, look how awesome it is. And it's just like, they just jack the whole thing.
They make it so easy and so convenient that you want to use it. You can have 1,000 people on one screen at a time, which I think is a bit overwhelming. But
real quick, so who do you go with? Do you go with Zoom, which is the Communist Party, or do you go with fucking this one, which is basically Microsoft, which
Bill Gates?
Bill Gates' evil app. I mean, it's like you want to just. It's like Chomsky said, "Show me the clean money." Right? Show me the clean money. Where's the clean money?
It's like we've all been sucked into the simulation. People are like, oh, is this a simulation? It's like, well, actually, yeah. We're in the simulation.
With NASA's so interesting. Every time NASA says something, I'm like, oh, kiss my ass, NASA. You don't know nothing until they say something I agree with, and then I get really excited.
Like aliens. I'm like, yeah, NASA saw it. NASA saw the aliens.
Well, multiple dimensions now they're talking about, and I'm all about that action.
Yeah, sometimes I think they throw that out there to string us along a little bit. I'm about that too, but I think they're messing with us a lot of times.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't trust anything they say, and it's just my whole thing is like, and it's the same thing with mainstream media. It's like, how many times do they have to be wrong before you stop accepting anything they say? Yeah. That's my whole thing.
Everyone says they don't believe anything about it, and then when they say, well, all 7 billion people, Simon says, stay home, and we're like, oh, well, they said there's this invisible monster. I'm staying home.
Yeah.
Seeing your guys' tweets, I'm like, okay, I'm not alone. They see this too, right? It's like we're in like Stranger Things. You're like, you guys see the monster too, right? You see the monster?
Truman Show. It's like, is this a joke?
So speaking of Twitter, what's going on with your Twitter account?
So within 1 week, just let you know, I hit for the cycle. I had Twitter, Facebook. Now Facebook's the last one because I was barely on it, but I've been ramping up a little bit. So they decided. So Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, Apple. And what's the other one?
YouTube hit you a while back, I remember.
Right? So the 4 big ones, the 4 horsemen of the tech apocalypse, have all take a shot at your kid within 1 week. Shout out your boy. Twitter took down at Sam Tripoli and did not tell me why it was. And how clean do we have to be on this show, by the way?
Not clean.
Right, okay. So it's one of 3 tweets that could have got me in trouble. One, it could be where I retweeted that the Chinese government has put 5G at the top of the Himalayas. That could be it. It could be where I basically tweeted a video of the Chicago mayor, who I call Five-Head because she has a forehead plus another floor, and she's talking about the New World Order. Or it's a tweet that a guy said, because I think Hillary's running. I think this is all a setup to get rid of anybody that's going to try to because they don't understand the internet, that they're going to try to basically get rid of anybody that can kneecap her. So I go, Hillary's going to run, and someone goes, that's the craziest tweet you ever put out. And I go, is it crazier than the time I said your mom's asshole is a Stargate that Q used to go back in time and then stop Hillary from winning the election? I go, because that was crazy. True, but crazy. So it's either one of those three tweets.
I feel like that fits the pattern because I've noticed that myself. I should get taken down. I get taken down too from lots of stuff for content, and I never get taken down for Twitter. And I'm really careful not to say mean things at people using vulgarity. That's the one thing that they seem to take people down for. But usually they'll put you back up if you say you're sorry.
Or they'll tell you what the tweet is.
I don't know about
I was
that.
going to ask you, did you know what your last tweet is?
So the week before that, I got suspended for a week, and it was because I basically paraphrased Tropic Thunder. And I said to somebody, don't go fully retarded. They go, that's offensive. And then I go, okay, well, that's retarded.
Yeah.
And it also could have been people reporting you. They send these tag teams of activists when someone gets big and has influence, and they all start reporting tweets that person has, and they'll take them down saying there's a high level of activity reporting this person because they have the AI and they also have the users that are professional snitches now. Snitching has become a virtue signaling profession in coronavirus and social media age. And did they give you any warning, or was it just blindsided?
Just take him right out, shut down. And I'd had an instance with this guy that's cost Shane Gillis his job at Saturday Night Live, and he had this paywall, and he was calling me a coronavirus denier. That was a new term, and I'm that. I guess I'm that. And he went off on me, and I just think that I'm gonna be honest with you. I've done a couple episodes too that push kind of the limits, because I believe in having these conversations. One, I had Adam Green on, and we debated his belief in Jewish supremacy. I don't believe that. I still don't believe that. But I like Adam. I like having him on. I like having a discussion with him. He has evidence of what he believes, and things from the Talmud, right? But I still think there's layers above that, and I will debate that. I'm more into Jesuits, black nobility, and that stuff. So that episode, I think, scared some people. And then I just did one on the Pacer family, or the Passar family, however you want to pronounce it. And I think that scared some people too, man. I think talking about that powerful family that could technically own almost every single major corporation in the United States could have pissed off them as well. But that seems to be after that episode dropped when everything started going crazy. Like Apple says that nobody's listening to my show, and then the rest. It's kind of crazy.
So when they take you down from Twitter, do you no longer have access to anything that you've ever tweeted?
No, when you get suspended from Twitter, it's like being Bruce Willis in Sixth Sense. You're like, I'm here. Don't go away. Don't leave me. I'm still a person. And no, it's there. So now I see the heading, and it's there.
But if you wanted to look at something you had tweeted before as like a catalog of your thoughts, they are there.
Wait, all the people who followed me, there's no longer 64,000 people, and all the people I was following. And what made it even worse was there was somebody who started basically creating a Twitter account that is the exact mirror of the exact duplicate of my
I saw that
thing, and he was tweeting and retweeting, gaining followers, and would normally I wouldn't care if I still had my account, but now everybody thinks this account is his, and he was telling me I had to buy it from him, and then I was hitting Twitter up, and they're like, yeah, we're investigating whenever we want to. We're going to take our sweet fucking time. And it took a long time, but luckily my listeners, who we call the Swarm, were nice enough, and they just kept hitting this fucking guy, and they finally took it down. Then he tried to start another one on my tinfoil hat page, and they took that down as well. So we'll see what happens.
So this guy's holding your name on Twitter hostage, trying to demand that you pay him to get it back, and yet Twitter kicks you off and leaves this guy on.
Yep.
And you're a guy with all these followers, with 64,000 followers, with such a huge presence, and they would I assume they would never give you a blue check mark, which is supposed to insulate you from that stuff. And I would never ask for one because I think it would get me kicked off. I mean, not that I deserve it, but I don't even want that.
I won't take them. People have been like, dude, I can get you one. I'm like, I don't want them. They're such phony crap. They make, and like,
might protect you.
I've seen people get blue check marks and they're just tweets and retweets and likes just explode. It's the AI algorithm of bullshit. I don't like it. And I think another thing that was going on was like, I started getting like, for me, a lot, like 1,000 likes, 100 and something retweets. And like, that just started like cooking with gas in the last like month. And I think that scared them as well.
I think that probably was a major factor in it because you got so big, your influence got too big for them to stop, so they had to remove you. And I think that's happened. I think that's what happens when people reach a certain level that they say, well, this person is going to get to where we can't contain them. They're going to be a big fish. We're going to remove them kind of as a symbol to everybody else as well, kind of nailing the squirrel on the wall, as Monica, you say sometimes.
To a tree. It's a tree.
To a tree. The wall, a tree, whatever, your car, nail the squirrel somewhere. And you had a lot of followers, man. It took you a long time to like build that up and just take it away, just like that.
Like that, dude. And like, it's like there's other guys in our genre that have been wiped off, Alex Jones, who's the biggest, but that guy's got millions of dollars. Yeah. And there's other people, but these people tend to say the buzzwords that equate with hate, and they hate groups. And like, I've taken a lot of pride on fighting that whole thing, the homophobia, the anti-Semitism. Now, I don't think criticizing Israel and these groups that represent, like, Zionism is anti-Semitism. I don't believe that at all. But I think like teeing off on Jews, I don't agree with that, and I fight and I push back. So I don't go after gays, I don't go after Jews, I don't go after all these groups that like white nationalists or whatever group or conservatives, which I get clumped into, and I'm the farthest thing from it. Like, I didn't go after everybody. I'm like, my whole thing is all love. You guys have been on my show. I try to preach love and stop fighting with each other, because that's what they want. But they got rid of me, dude. And I think that's even scarier.
Do they want to put everybody in that basket of deplorables and say people who are protesting lockdown, libertarians, they're calling them, they're article after article every day saying, why are they white nationalists? The ones who are protesting the lockdown. Yeah. I mean, they're just putting the stuff on it, and they want to paint everybody by that brush so that nobody thinks critically.
I just talked about it on my shows, and I talked with you, Bradley, about how these people are marching against the same people, and they just can't come together. Like the Black Lives Matter, we know Soros is involved, but still, if you talk to a lot of people there, they're probably, I'm just here because somebody got shot. I'm sure there's a group of agents of chaos and provocateurs, but there's a bunch of people there because they don't like that cops are shooting unarmed people. Okay, the Women's March, they're marching against government overreach, and then the open up people are marching against government overreach and cops overstepping them. It's the same people.
Yeah, it's the same people, but they create those polarizing symbols on the other side that they kind of charge that energy towards. So they're fighting an enemy, and they're not really fighting for a movement. And then they just shift the goalpost on what they're fighting for. Bellamy, the green anarchist who we interviewed recently, said that he used to be involved in the protest movement, but then he wasn't getting any satisfaction from it because it was never going anywhere. They never accomplished anything except for the people that organized these protests. They gained power and they gained money. Everybody else they're just hung out to dry at the end of it. What would you want to tell people to do to help you out? Like, is there somewhere you want them to go subscribe or?
What really people need to do, man, and I think that we need to have one of these Zooms with 1,000 billion meetings. And we have to get all of us together and have a talk about where we want to go and what we want to do. And I think it's very necessary, and try to get as many people as fucking possible on this Zoom meeting to talk. And to your listeners, and some of them are my listeners, and and James Corbett's listeners, who are some of your listeners, my listeners, it's like, James Corbett said it best. It's really time to leave these things. And nobody's asking you to get in your car, buy a Southwest ticket, or any of that shit. We're asking you, go to your toolbar, press in new place where freedom rings .com and go enjoy all your people. Because by staying there, you're basically co-signing on this censorship, and it is book burning. It is time to go somewhere else. The problem is we got I get banned, and all of a sudden 40 different websites are like, come to my website, and I'll go to all your websites. I just don't have time to upload on 40 different episodes every fucking day.
Yeah, I know, Monica, when the website got taken down.
I never recovered. I used to really make beautiful articles. I had this glossary that could really open your mind just by perusing it. I had all sorts of things on there, and just getting taken down, it like messed up the formatting and everything, and all the links were dead. And it was 7 years worth of work gone forever. And yes, I have another website now, but it's just not the same. And that's why I was worried about Twitter, because I also got deplatformed from my radio show, probably because it was in the backyard of the CDC. But that's just gone. I had a platform where I could reach new people. And then I worry now. I tried to kind of avoid Facebook, avoid YouTube after I got taken down from YouTube once. I was like, I'm just going to stay away from it for a while. But I'm worried about Twitter because I use it as a repository for all of my thoughts by putting up the headlines and my ideas about what's happening. So if that disappears, I've got a problem. But I agree with you. They're ahead of the game, which is why I think that even though I'm a libertarian, I don't really consider them private companies. I feel like they get the advantage. They've been seeded from the government in the beginning, since the beginning. That's why they're ahead of it. They're bigger. They've got the networking value. They've got the tech advantage. They use government patents, which they expect the government to protect. And that's really the basis why people get their First Amendment rights protected, even in private platforms. And they should do it for us, and they're not. Google and Facebook, and Facebook, the Facebook movie. Okay, Google and Facebook both have giant CIA seed money for sure. And the NSA.
Yeah. So these intelligence companies and government money, whether they use black ops money or they use taxpayer money, they are not a private corporation. They are not. They're not.
Not at all.
They use our money. It should fall under First Amendment stuff. That Facebook movie story is a lie. It's a straight up lie.
I wouldn't even watch it. I was like,
made $1 billion in Bitcoin. That's how they pay you off. They pay you off with $1 billion.
Peter
That's
Thiel.
Dr. Dre.
Was it Peter Thiel who got all the Facebook stock?
Who?
That's how he got rich. I think Peter Thiel got in on the ground floor of Facebook, and now he's the libertarian corral. He corrals libertarians.
Is that guy in the Libertarian Party?
Yeah, but he's a Bilderberger.
Yeah, he's making blood. He was selling blood in San Francisco. That's the guy who's selling pints of blood from young people after doing studies into rats in San Francisco.
Oh yeah, dude. And why is that guy? It's like, dude, 100. I go the Libertarian Party. Like, just like every party, the base is great and the leadership is corrupt.
Oh no, I'm not a part of the party, but
so we have like the whatever brothers, twins who made $1 billion in Bitcoin. That's amazing. You have Dr. Dre, you have Ice Cube who led NWA and all this gangster rap that destroyed the black community. They're billionaires, right?
And their stuff is on the platforms you're getting taken down from.
What's that?
The really nasty lyrics are still, from some of those guys, are still on the platforms that people like you get taken down from.
Let's say my tweet about five heads is why I got taken down, right?
Yeah.
That is nothing worse than what Saturday Night Live does every fucking week to nobody. Nobody's watching. And because it's not good, it's not.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Dude, comedy's best when it's taking truth to power. Yeah. And listen, we could sit here and say, well, they're going after Trump, but it's so obvious that it's slanted bullshit, elitist crap. That's why it doesn't hit.
Yeah, it can be funny. You can make fun of Trump and be funny, but they're so pretentious about it.
They don't want to make it funny because, like you and I have talked about, it humanizes the guy. Jon Stewart used to make fun of George W. Bush, and it was fun and funny, and it didn't make anybody hate. And then after like the second election, 2004, it's like, this isn't funny anymore. And he just would never make another funny joke that had something to do with Bush.
Well, I think that's why he got out, because he just saw, Obama's the exact same fucking bunch of bullshit. I mean, like, I think he's from my generation that thought there was a difference between the D's and the R's, and you find out that they're all the same. And if I hear another person tell me that they watch Fox News and MSNBC to get both sides of the party, I'm like, I want to shine both sides of the turd that I fucking just.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, if I went back in time, man, and I went to 2004 and I told everybody that Fox News would fucking be seen as the voice of reason, they would laugh in my fucking face.
Everybody lowered the bar.
You're right. And you're like, they're just happen to be on the right side of this completely bullshit argument. You know what I'm saying? Like I like parts of Trump, which means I like more about Trump than the last 5 presidents combined, right?
Yeah.
I know he represents a bunch of bullshit, but good luck getting anybody into that position that is fucking a water walker. Good luck on that. It's never gonna fucking
Yeah, it's never gonna happen. They're always gonna be compromised. And to your point about the social media platforms, they want it to be the new public square. And right now, they want everybody to move on to these platforms. They want us to live our entire lives there. They want us to go to court virtually. They want us to have birthday parties, graduations virtually. Everything has to be virtual now. Yet the tech tyrants can banish someone like that without cause or explanation. That's like kicking you out of the United States and not letting you come back.
100%, dude. It's like these apps, these websites are like old school Main Street. It's where you go to set up your shop. And like, as long as I'm not calling for violence, right? You know, or hate speech. And even that is ridiculous to say whatever hate speech, because what is hate speech to me isn't hate speech to you. Like, we had all these Asians going nuts with the Chinese virus, right? And I'm like, what? They're like, oh, dude, don't judge us on the actions of the government just because, that's the Chinese government. I'm Chinese people. I'm like, well, welcome to being a white guy on social media.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Pulling their mask off when they ask a question. Why did you say that to me? Showing that I'm Asian.
And it's so obvious. And they just won't buy into it. They just keep buying into it. It's just like, and the worst part is
such a distraction. Yeah, what's the worst part?
No, that they're all, and I'm sorry, I talk too much. I drink too much coffee.
Of course. This is
on your own. I do this all the time, so please don't fuck up. But it's like these fake punk rockers who've been fucking being the resistance forever. And the minute the shit hits the fan, they're fucking begging. Like, white people suck. White guys suck. Rich white guys are destroying America. And the shit hits the fan. And, oh, dude, listen to rich white guys and fucking listen. Yes. It's annoying as fuck, man.
Half of them are rich white guys that are saying it.
Yeah, that's true. The identity stuff is it's so obvious by now that it's just a way to keep our eye off the ball. I'm a little beyond you with the Trump thing, is that I think he was put in place for the same reason Obama was put in place, to kind of galvanize his side, to polarize the country, to who could preside over the bankruptcy of this country besides somebody who could silence the fiscal conservative right. But in the meanwhile, what they did was they finally brought identity politics to the right, which it wasn't there before. And now that's all anybody talks about. It's just like when they used to talk about the militarization of the police. Now they talk about black versus blue. But for a while there, it was all of us saying, hey, these guys are out of control. And then they made that racial too.
No, I agree with you, dude. I agree with you. There are, there's just things that I like that Trump did. I have no problem with people going, this guy's a scum. Adam Green lights me up all the time. Tell me about what an idiot I am when it comes to Trump. And I just sit there like the gimp and I take my beating. And it's just is what it is. And I get it, man. I just like, and if it is the play, it's the play. But the trade war with China, the fucking getting out of this, when we have a sheriff in Hollywood thinking he can override the Constitution, and Trump's like, no, guns are a necessity. Those things to me are like, I just think, I'm not saying he's a white hat, and I totally understand. I just think he's a different fucking crime unit.
And they're giving him to us. So even if it's a limited hangout, what are they hanging out? Something you want, and that's good. That's a win.
I understand, and I just hate hearing it. And I know you're right.
Oh no, I'm not even criticizing. I'm saying you're right to like what he's giving you. It's fine. You should. Ron Paul might be a limited hangout for all I know, and I love the guy. I have dreams about him.
You have dreams about Trump? Is that what
about Ron Paul?
Oh, Ron Paul.
He's my cutie.
Yeah.
Here's something funny real quick. When we had our babies, the mother of the child, my girl, her mom came and stayed with us. And, at night, she'd watch kids all day. And at night, she liked to drink her white wine. And who am I to complain? She'd make me watch CNN news all day. And it was but I couldn't say anything because she was helping me with the babies. And she would get lit at night and she would tell me about how she would have fantasies about Bob Knight, the basketball coach.
Oh, really?
You'd have sexual fantasies. I was like,
that's some aggressive fantasies.
My dreams didn't go very far.
Bob Knight. Wow.
I don't want to hear about all the weird things she hoped Trump would do. I mean,
Bob
Knight would do, but I find that
Bob Knight's game face is what I'm imagining right now. The game face interview. I don't know if you've seen that, Monica, where somebody asks him if the team didn't have his game face on, starts what the fuck's the game face? Starts making all these weird fucking faces.
Oh my gosh,
hilarious.
Don't give me images. The story was bad enough. I don't need images.
His game face and his O face are the exact same face.
Yeah,
I have nightmares.
I think so.
No, I'm with you on that, dude. I get it. I mean, it's just like, I don't know, man. Maybe, I mean, like me, I'm like, I think it's time to burn it all down. But I'm just kind of waiting for who wants to kick it off. Same way.
I don't know. That's what I was trying to figure out. I was trying to see if we could do a march on Washington on the 4th of July, but I just feel like you can't really get people to rally when every town tells you that they're going to stop you at the borders. Basically, it's so weird. But yeah, don't. Hang on to the hope. Come on.
I know I'm with you. I'm totally
fine
with you. But then he's like, he has to be okay with presiding over the complete and utter destruction.
Really? Yeah.
He's going to get credited with it.
I think he is. I think that's what he's there for. Or maybe he doesn't know that's what he's there for. But he's there for... Sorry.
Let's move on to the
no, dude.
Serious conspiracy. Unless you guys got some points you want to wrap up.
You want to hear about the Montauk thing,
Yeah,
right?
I want to hear about Montauk. This is the type of stuff that got me into conspiracy theories when I first started looking at them when I was a kid. Loved this stuff. Used to listen to a lot of Art Bell. I know he had Preston Nichols and others on the show. And I watched a show, a CW show, that had you on it. It was, what's the title of that show? It's Undiscovered. Mysteries Decoded. Here it is right here. Yeah. I turned on Mysteries Decoded, and there you were, investigating the Montauk Project, one of my favorite conspiracies. Just about everything is involved in this. And tell us, what is the Montauk? What is the Montauk Project?
Montauk was basically this area, I believe it's New Jersey, right? Just outside of
Long Island, New York.
Yeah, Long Island. Yeah, that basically, just like this, there was this area that was a government facility and kids were going missing, and they discovered that deep down inside there were some many levels, and the truth is that they believe they were doing time traveling, and it's almost like Project Looking Glass, where there's some time traveling stuff. Basically, Montauk is what the creators of Stranger Things completely ripped off.
Yeah, it was titled that.
What?
Originally. The working title on IMDb was Montauk in 2015.
If you want to look up a woman named her website's called the Montauk Girl, you will you read her journals, and it is exactly what that show jacked. She could sue them and win. I don't know why she hasn't, but yeah, Montauk. We're talking time travel. We're talking using children as batteries for energy to create.
For the chair, right? The Montauk chair?
Yeah, the Montauk chair, which could be used for anything. The Montauk Monster. That's it. So basically the government was, the Philadelphia experiment is tied into that. And that kind of kicked off this project. And then, dude, there is a good chance that a lot of this is all just a child sex trafficking ring as well, too. So there's that kind of element to this whole thing. And my friend, if you ever really want to have a great discussion The guy who was the director, Mark Theron, I could hook you up with him. He's deep into this, and he was talking about he thinks it's just a front for child pedophilia now, or child sex trafficking. For me, dude, I do believe in time travel. I do believe in multiple dimensions. I do believe we live in a much more interesting world than anybody even understands.
Yeah.
And I think this is a part of that, and that's just belief.
I also believe in that there's stuff going on that we really have no clue about. And you pulled something out during that episode, the time travel patent for a time machine or something. What is that?
Oh yeah, they have there's actually a patent, a U.S. government patent on a time traveling machine. And to me, I do believe there was time travel involved with all this. And it basically broke down what the chair did and the energy and all that stuff. But then it just goes back to the guy who basically did the whole thing. He's one of a really fat guy, and I don't trust anyone who pulls their pants up over the front. I just when your pants up, the hair.
The fupa.
Yeah, I just don't trust any of it.
Preston Nichols, I first heard him on Art Bell years and years ago. That's who you're talking about, right? Big fat. He's dead now.
What year? This is important. I have a piece of information for you. What year did he come out with this?
Did Preston Nichols come out?
Yeah.
I think it was the early mid 90s that he first came out with his book.
Because I asked my brother. My brother was in the Air Force, and I remember he was stationed on Montauk. It's the only reason I knew anything about it. And I think we visited him there and everything. So today I texted him and I said, were you at Camp Hero, which is what that place was called originally?
Camp Hero, dude.
And he said, well, it wasn't called Camp Hero anymore when I was there. That would have been a Marine base or something. When I was there, it was MAFS, Montauk Air Force Station. And I said, yeah, did they ever, he told me a little funny story about it, I'll tell you later, but I said, do you remember anybody ever talking about weird stuff going on there? And he said, well, I was there from 72 to 74, and I remember people talking about weird stuff, but we just kind of dismissed it. And so I just ignored what my brother said. And then later I was thinking about it, and I said to myself, I don't think anybody was talking about weird stuff there until later.
That's what I was curious about, too, is if Preston Nichols launched a lot of this stuff off, or if there were people talking about it before. I know you spoke with people who said that they used to talk about it. They heard rumors about it during their childhood, about the tunnels and everything underneath that Camp Hero and that radar. And what did you conclude about that?
Well, we interviewed a guy who said that he was one of the Montauk boys, and
the super soldiers.
Yeah. And I don't know if we called him that show, but I don't think he was a super soldier. I think he was meant to be like a battery. They were using kids' energy, and we see that in the dark arts. We see that that children's energy is used to, make people younger and all that stuff. But
the theory is the kids were the battery. They put them in the Montauk chair, and the Montauk chair, they could open up time travel portals, or they could manifest their thoughts using that radar above.
Yeah.
They focus on specific things, and that they could manifest that object into reality, which I think one of the theories was that they manifest the Montauk monster that washed ashore.
Yeah. And, dude, what's very scary is that they would be opening these portals, and when they first started doing it, supposedly they would kidnap homeless people, and force them to walk through the portals.
This is super weird because, so this is the other thing that my brother said. He said, I remember going there when I was working on, I think he actually worked on the radar thing. He said, we would hang out by the World War II batteries that faced the Atlantic, decrepit after 28 years of non-use. MAFS bordered Peter Beard's house, and if he saw us near his line in the barren part of the base, he'd upbraid us and tell us to go back to the radar station. And I thought, who is Peter Beard? So I looked it up, and just a few weeks ago, Peter Beard, who's like an artist or something, a famous guy who's married to good-looking chicks, he must have been super old, and he wandered off. He still lived there. He wandered off onto the Camp Hero base, and he was missing for 3 weeks, and they just found his body there. And I just thought it was very freaky that I said, I wonder if anybody else ever disappears on Camp Hero Base. They don't know the cause of death.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, and you know what else is really weird about that area? They have a very bad tick problem. And if you know anything about like what ticks give you, which is Lyme disease, which that is the one thing that's pretty common in people who get Alzheimer's, is like they had Lyme disease at one point, and it's just like, and they've talked about how Lyme disease is like a weapon.
Congress
US weapon.
just launched an investigation into it. Remember, we were talking about that, Binkley, last year? Congress launched an investigation into whether Lyme disease was a government project.
Yeah, a weapon.
So we would go there and we'd see like these signs like "Watch out, ticks everywhere." I'm like, I'm not going in there, man. I'm not going in and getting bit by a tick and getting Lyme disease for a fucking non-union part. No, I'm only kidding about that. But the point is, I'm not going to go do that and then get Alzheimer's, because my grandpa had it really bad at the end. Like, so I didn't even want to risk that. But there was a lot of stuff that went on there, man, that,
was it weird being there? What did it feel like? What was the vibe? Was it a strange
you saw the
vibe?
show, man. They had they had a brand new fucking meter that was running
on the radar. So the radar was still in operation. Yeah. And there was only 12 of those radars originally. That radar was put up, I think it was to detect a nuclear attack during the Cold War.
Yeah. It was meant so in case, the Japanese or the Germans or anybody was coming, it would see it, and then they could.
And then the Russians later.
Yeah. It's impressive when you look at it. It's so scary, man. But yeah, it's there, and it's just really weird shit. And then you saw people who went inside, and there's a lot of layers of darkness in there, dude. And then there's, again, when we, anytime you get into like tunnels, I start thinking you're looking at trafficking. A lot of tunnels all over that base, man. There's a
acid rooms.
Yeah. I mean, multi-layered, dude.
Yeah, the acid rooms, Monica, there's these weird, like somebody's on acid painting in a room where it looks like it's an intentional painting as opposed to just splatter on the wall. But there were images that somebody who used to live in the. I think you might have talked to this guy during the show, Mimic or something. Is that his name?
Yeah,
Brian Minnick.
That guy's been on a couple shows. He looks like Eddie Vedder. He looks exactly like Eddie Vedder. I'm like, he's like, I got arrested. I'm like, for what? Impersonating Eddie. He went down there. He filmed everything back when he was younger, and it's just like, and then they sealed some entrances off, which to me is even creepier, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys see what's going on with the Playboy Mansion? Like, they dug up the whole backyard, and it's like everybody knows what's going on there. That there were fucking tunnels.
I think Dean
I didn't
Metropolis
know
bought
that.
Yeah, it was bought by a big food guy, the son of a guy who owns a big food thing. It was just sold. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Sold to like a different guy.
So is that radar blocked off? Can you really not get to it?
Well, yeah, there's a fence right there. You really can't get past it. And I was like, we could jump, but we'd get in deep trouble.
Yeah. And the theory behind that is that the electromagnetic waves are being used to implant thoughts in people's minds or something like that.
Well, that was never talked about right there. And I just don't think there's enough honest, like, energy coming from it at this moment. I think if there's anything going on, it's something deep, deep, deep in there that they're running that meter.
That thing, supposedly, when I was listening to the Nichols stuff, he was saying that that's what they were doing there. That was a long time ago. But I've also read since then that stuff really is, they really can do that. They can put
they absolutely
stuff in your brain for sure.
Oh,
I think that's not even disputed.
I mean, like, there's a very famous thing called the voice of God technology that they were talking. Whoa.
Oh,
I tried to see that. That's my cloaking technology, my Philadelphia experiment.
You totally just degaused yourself.
You just cloaked us.
I was trying to show you an article about how the Army's voice-to-skull devices. They have voice-to-skull devices like in the 70s, psychotronic weapons.
Well, dude, if you take a look at all these school shooters, all these spree shooters, they all talk about voices in their heads.
Navy Yard shooter. Aaron Alexis, I think his name was. I went way deep into that. That guy did not know what hit him. I mean, that was really uncool.
You take a look at the guy who did the movie theater in Colorado. Like afterwards, he's like,
I'm reading the Unabomber book. I'm reading a book by the Unabomber and a book about the Unabomber, and he was involved in MK Ultra experiments at Harvard.
oh, well, dude, they shish kebab that dude's brain, dude. They went and like that's why I hate hearing from sheep like believe the scientists. They only want to help. I'm like all the evil shit in the world was invented by a scientist.
Right. Otherwise, they're just lying to you. Either it's evil or they're just lying to you about it.
Was Kaczynski, was he a subject in MK Ultra?
Yeah, he would. He went to Harvard he was like at 16 when he started at Harvard, and they identified him as somebody vulnerable. And they said, you're going to be involved in this experiment where you tell your ideas and it gets critiqued by upperclassmen. What they didn't tell him is that the upperclassmen were trained to destroy him psychologically by saying the meanest stuff they could think about his most private feelings. And he, of all the people in this experiment, was damaged the most to the point where he became totally without morality. This is what I'm gathering from what I'm reading. And then he could go out and say, okay, technology is a problem. What's a good way for me to draw attention to this problem? Well, I can get national attention by mailing bombs to a lot of people. So I'm just going to do that because why not? And they're scientists, and I hate scientists.
Yeah. And they did it for 2 years, dude. And they never undid it.
Yeah, nope. That's the thing about that stuff is those experiments have happened. There was a Tuskegee experiment. There's the prison. They experiment on prisoners, injecting stuff into them, putting stuff on them. This has been proven.
St. Louis. I mean, it's like it's so funny. We go after other countries for fucking spraying chemicals all over their people. Our government did to us in Vietnam, and they've done it here. Like, they just sprayed St. Louis forever with chemicals.
Yeah, and when you tell people that, there's no connection that they are also doing stuff like that right now that is classified, that will be declassified in maybe 50 years.
Right
it's
over
probably
my
just
house.
Mind-blowing.
They're doing it over my house right now.
Oh, spraying over your house? Yeah, you got a lot of chemtrails over there.
I know. Can't believe people don't see them. I mean, they're so obvious.
Oh, it's just so sad, right? And it's just like but it's just like I just learned you gotta let them just be the fraud.
And here's the point:
enjoy it.
That like the chemtrail thing, that it took me a long time to really see them for what they were, and there's no doubt in my mind. I don't expect other people to be there. It's fine. The Montauk thing, I don't know how much I connect what they were doing there with what they clearly can do in that field. I'm not sure. But the idea that the governments, the paralegal, whatever scientists aren't colluding with whatever it is, corporations, the university grants, the Department of Defense, for some agenda other than what they're explaining in detail on Fox and CNN. They're not explaining what they're up to in detail on Fox and CNN.
Oh, that's not everything on those networks?
That's what I'm saying. So people think you're crazy. It's like you have to be an idiot to think that Bill Gates doesn't have something up his sleeve. It's so obvious, and you can find the footage of it.
Well, isn't it like the Burbright Institute owns like what they're telling us is like every patent on every single COVID except for 19. Yeah, we have them all, but this one. What? So you have limited money. You just decided not to patent the one that somehow gets released after you guys have had all your little expos and your conferences doing Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering on how this thing's going to fucking play out. Are you fucking serious? Like, you think we're dumb? And the answer is yes.
Yes, we are. Look at what we're doing. And you and I know the truth, and we're both doing this. We're still sitting at home.
It gets to a point where it's almost like they make it just obvious to see how much people are willing to accept.
Oh,
people believe it, though.
Yeah, I think this is, you hear them say it phase one. This is 100%. Last year, I heard them talking about how the FBI believes in October, it's going to get like yellow jacket over here. People are going to be in the streets going nuts. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. Why would they do that? And then I didn't even think about what was going on just imagine how innocent we were this in December 2019.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
we're so, I mean, as bad as it was so innocent.
Yeah.
And now it's like, man, October could get bad. I'm like buying as much shit as I can.
But what you said, Binkley, the Arbery thing will get the left out, and the lockdown number 2 will get the right out. So Binkley pointed out that Arbery shooting, there was a white guy shot a black guy, and it's going back and forth. People are seeing things differently. Binkley's right. If they're going to a grand jury and it takes 3 months, they'll probably get off. They probably won't go to trial, and that will start the left out, because the left has no reason to protest. They're supposed to be staying home, and the right's supposed to be protesting. But if they can get everybody out there, that would be some kind of shit show.
And that's when they might hit us with even crazier shit.
You're going to have martial law for the election. Binkley played us a clip that said we're having martial law for the 2020 election. It was supposed to be about Russian interference, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be Stacey Abrams, the Arbery thing, the lockdown. It could get crazy. And on the other hand, maybe they've taken it as far as they can, and they'll just give us a break for a while. It is really hard to predict each scene as the acts unroll.
It's a fun fact about protesting. The left would normally stay in, but they can go out and protest because the coronavirus does not infect people who protest on the left. It only infects those who protest on the right.
They're not distancing. They're not masking.
Doesn't matter. Nobody cares if they're not distancing.
Fucking everybody up. None of them are wearing masks. None of them are social distancing. What's going? Whatever they got at Target, can we all wear it and use it? Because they seem fucking fine. The grocery store seems fine. The weed store seems fine. The fucking liquor store seems fine. The fucking FedEx, the Amazon, everybody seems
You just
fine.
can't go to school, and kids don't get it. So what? There's no logic, of course.
Or restaurants and waiters and bartenders. Like, dudes, like my dad's like, I wish these casinos would open up. I go, Dad, you are actually part of the demographic that this thing fucking hits. You gotta stay home. You're 75, you're overweight, and you have diabetes. You're just a walking time bomb with this thing. But everybody else, go get weird, man. Go ahead.
Totally. Get your germs on, man. Sorry. That's going to get us deplatformed. You're entitled to your own decisions about health. Do not endanger other people. Take your own decisions.
It's getting ridiculous. With Georgia, too, the cases are going down. Yeah, there's still the conflicting information about there's going to be a spike in cases, Get ready, trying to keep people scared. They want people to voluntarily stay in so that they don't have to force them to. And people will. People are, they're wearing they're showing off their mask as accessories now. Look at my trikini. I have a matching mask. It matches my bathing suit.
Here's the thing. This is what I think that is really happening, and I think it was happening all along, is that there was a massive debt collapse that they just were not going to be able to push off for much longer. And if you look at the policies and nobody told you why those policies were enacted, you would just say, oh, obviously there was a massive economic collapse, a debt collapse. They had to produce $10 trillion out of nowhere. And somebody said, well, your choices are a debt collapse or a microbe. You're like, what, a microbe?
I think you're totally right. The death of the petrodollar, and who knows what's going on with the Federal Reserve. It's chaos. It's just chaos. And
I think that this stuff is an excuse for that stuff. If you look at it, because do you know an unusual number of people who are seriously ill? No, an unusually high number of people.
There's one guy I know, and it's the weirdest thing. 5 people he knows died. I go, dude, I haven't even met someone who knows one person. And this guy isn't a liar. He was in New York. Something happened in New York that we don't even understand.
I think they were over-treating them.
Dude, and I think Cuomo, I think the Michigan governor and the California governor are trying to get on that ticket because they know Joe Biden ain't making it to the election.
Yeah, I think they're definitely setting someone else up to take over.
I think it's
whether it's a VP or whoever.
I really think it's Hillary, man. I think that bitch can't.
Hillary and Obama.
Well, Obama can't. That would be I know they like constitutional crises, but
they're already making the argument.
Can't do it.
But look at what they're doing now, though. They don't care about the Constitution.
No, I like Obama.
They like constitutional crises. It's true.
Obama would bring Obamagate. That's why I think him and Michelle are out. But I think she's in. Yeah. And it's just like, who is Hillary going to grab? that will help her, because she is so unself-aware, surrounded by just people that yes and her. She has no clue how toxic she is, and how like she's just gonna get everybody that feels she fucked Bernie out against her, and all the Trump people out against her. There's no way she can win.
Oh, there's no way she can win. Unless the virus, there's another hot spot and people just start dying left and right and they blame it on Trump, then whoever runs, it would be easy for them to win. But I think Trump wins. But speaking of Obama, I want to bring it back to what we were talking about a minute ago. Have you heard of Andrew Bassani? He ran for president in 2016.
No, I don't. No.
I think he might actually be associated with Montauk, or at least claimed to be anyway. He started something called Project Pegasus. And his story is that as a child, he was part of the government's time travel program and teleportation program, and that he met President Obama on Mars in the 70s. As Obama was part of that program as well. He was the teenager, platform. I guess. Yeah, this was the platform he ran on in 2016. I was hoping he would run again in 2020, but he comes up in a lot of conversations about Montauk and Preston Nichols.
We should do a swap cast and interview that dude.
He's around. He does interviews on Coast to Coast. He's a lawyer. The guy's a lawyer.
I'm all about that action, dude.
Yeah, me too. Do you think that there's two guys on the Philadelphia experiment ship that say that they got on the ship and they were doing the experiment, the cloaking experiment, and then they got off in 1943 when they did it, and got off in 1983?
Big part of the story, dude.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
Your gal debunked it in your show.
No,
I mean, chick.
Listen, that was inevitable. And let me just tell you something, dude. You want to talk about a guy they took down that episode. There was certain places you couldn't get that episode, and there were complaints about dude. They're like, we will no longer show this episode.
Like Jesse Ventura's FEMA camp one, I think.
It was dude. If they do that, I'm fucked. If they come for us, I'm high on the list. I'm just going to give all my Bitcoin to my lady, go take the babies, ride. Daddy's going to a FEMA camp.
The fact that they were doing whether or not that's true, anything about Montauk is true. I think that there probably are bases and stuff underneath the camp, and I think that there was something going on there that we don't know about. Whether it's time travel portals, I don't know. Time travel theoretically is possible, and they say you need to harness the energy of a black hole. They've been trying to harness the energy of a black hole. They've been creating little black holes at CERN and stuff for a long time. Maybe it is possible. I don't know. I'm definitely open to it.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
It's terrifying, dude. You don't know what you're going to let in.
Right,
no, yeah. And that's what the Unabomber says. He says these guys are messing around with something that has a non-zero chance of setting off a chain reaction that could swallow the universe. And the way they think of it is, but if it doesn't, I'm getting a Nobel Prize. And if it does, I'm going to die eventually anyway. And he said that's how they think, whether they do or not, but it sounds right.
Here's another thing, dude. Supposedly, Hillary Clinton used Project Looking Glass to see if she could go and, if she's going to win, and they said she couldn't get past the year 2012. You're like, but 2020. But there is a calendar out there where the year is 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What calendar is it?
That's interesting. Yeah, the fact that they've been doing not just time travel, but mind control, manipulation techniques and experiments for decades. They're definitely doing it now. It's more sophisticated, and we are experiencing it right now because people are mind controlled. It's working.
For sure.
Totally.
For sure, dude. I mean, just look at how people reacted after 9/11, and nobody's been to jail for that. And then you got these people on the right going crazy on Obamagate. It is bad. But the notion that it is the worst thing that a president has ever done.
I can't even read those. I skip all those headlines. I'm like, who cares? What difference? It's like the Hillary server. I felt the same way. I'm like, this is not important. We are all under house arrest. We have all arrested ourselves because someone told us to. That is a bigger story, and we need to address it.
We have one president that was associated with 2 presidential assassinations. One of them successful. For George Bush.
Oh,
he was part of the JFK assassination. And then he was, you know,
Yeah,
do you know the
Reagan.
common ancestor that Bush and
Yeah.
Obama have is a Hinckley, Sam Hinckley.
Well,
Right.
Hinckley was definitely a buddy of the Bushes, but Ford made the magic bullet theory.
Yeah,
And then he was never elected. He's the only person who was a president in this country who was never elected to presidency or vice president. And that Nixon Watergate was a coup.
oh yeah, well, there's all a theory
Yeah.
about that involved child pornography, and they were trying to find out who had all that shit.
And then there's the John F. K. Jr., his son, being QAnon. Isn't that the theory, that he's buddies with Trump and that he's secretly QAnon?
He's not really dead the way Russia's Jim Morrison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Adam Green's just been fucking kicking my ass about, hey, you keep pushing this Q stuff, you're gonna lose all your credibility. I'm like, dude, I'm a
Are you
drunk
down with Q, Sam?
No. Well, you know, I'm not down with Q as some kind of. Listen, here's my whole opinion on Q. I have learned stuff from it. What the information represents, I don't know. But there's a lot of people to believe in it, and there's no such thing as reality. There's only perception. And my whole theory is that the truth movement doesn't need Trump, doesn't need Q, that we're beyond those people. And we need to stop fucking looking for a savior, stop looking for someone to save us, and we just gotta come together and realize that we're beyond that, dude. Because whatever happened, dude, nobody watches the news, nobody trusts the tech companies, no one trusts the two-party system, and I can keep going. Those aren't just like la 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 blah blah, who cares? Those are like real big things that have happened in the last 4 years. And whatever Trump and whatever Q means, I don't know, but you know, it's like the internet. I think it got away from them. I think they started something to be able to propagandize us and get, you know, and it just a bunch of dorks who couldn't get laid just took it to another level, and they can't control it, and they're going to try to do it. But whatever it is at this point, it's gotten away from them. And that's why I think about the truth movement. Like, you're right, it's pacified some stuff that Trump's done, but you know, it's also like empowered like the full-on destruction. Not full, but at least enough people don't listen to the main. Look at their ratings, dude.
It is amazing that the podcast thing, I don't think they're in control of that, of how people are getting their information now. I have to agree with you there. And there is truth in everything. It did not, even if these are psyops or limited hangouts, false flags, they don't work. It's like the CIA was behind the counterculture in the 60s. But if the music wasn't good, it wouldn't have worked. Mm-hmm. So there is truth in it, and you just have to hone your truth dar, your discernment, and take from it what there is to take, I think.
Well, I totally agree with that. And just like, you know, whenever you see an advertise, like there was this thing on Twitter for a brief second, and it was like, hang out with your favorite celebrity, and everyone's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Celebrity's dead. Hollywood's dead. Like, dude, it has to be really good for anyone to get, or really bad. Tiger,
yes,
that might be but it's like it's gotten away from them. Whatever Joe Rogan is, he's a very good friend of mine. Like, dude, gotten away from him. We could have a discussion on what people think about that, but I'm going to tell you something about Joe. Joe is Joe 100%. He called me up to see what was going on with me. And, of course, we had a conversation. And, dude, the guy you see on that show is the same guy behind closed doors. It's not like, oh, you know, I say this, but, dude, what's up with that Project Looking Glass? It's none of that.
Yeah.
And it's for whatever reason.
But Snowden snowed him. I'll give you that. That was the turning point. Snowden snowed him. Snowden's full of shit.
My whole turning point is it is my belief that he's such a smart businessman. When they deplatformed, when they took that Apple, when they took his Alex Jones episode off of Apple for a brief second, I think he saw that was like a kind of a shot over your head, that there's layers of this shit. I still think it's a gangster ass move.
Oh yeah, it's great.
My friend just made 100 million bones.
Yeah.
Fucking great. And
he'll be out there.
He's like the LeBron James of podcasting. So
it's the Howard Stern move. It's fantastic.
To me, man, are they gonna give him $100 million and then get mad at him if he doesn't talk about the things he wants? I think it is something. It's like, oh, this shit's paid. It's signed. Contract's done. this money's mine. I'm going to talk about whatever the fuck I want, because what are they going to do? Are they going to limit him on what he can say? I don't see it happening. Not when you got 100 million bones in the fucking bank. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, and he can go to another platform if need be. Like Alex Jones, like you said, he had the money. Alex Jones already had a platform basically set up for himself where he wasn't going to lose much of anything when he got kicked off. Yeah, being a martyr pays if you already have a structure set
and you
up.
make more on your own thing, so everybody feels like you can get, they know where to find you.
Let me make that money, dude.
Yeah.
I'm a martyr. I'm like the broke martyr. That's who I am.
You'll benefit from this because people who don't have Spotify are going to come to you. You're next. Everybody levels up. It's a good thing.
Please, Lord, make it happen.
I have to ask you, in closing, what on Montauk, you were there. You saw it. You felt it. You smelled the air. You saw the trees. You saw the tower.
Dude, stop. Right there is the most interesting thing about the whole visit. The trees are all dead. They were all, we were in the mid, it was like the bloom trees were everywhere, and then we got near the fucking towers, and the trees were all dead, dude. And I remember going, look at the fucking trees, man. They're all dead. And they're like, holy fuck, they are.
Yikes.
What's the radiation level? They can get somebody to test out radiation level.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, dude. If you want me to hook you up one time because you're really into this with the director, I can make it happen. He'll tell you he's all into this shit.
I'll go with you, Binkley. My brother will take us out there, but you got to pronounce it correctly.
Dude,
that U is a W.
Dude, I'm
Montauk.
so sorry. I'm over you guys. I'm so sorry about that. I get super.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I was
man.
just
you're
saying
fine.
nothing nonsense. I was the problem. I'm the problem. I never stop talking.
He
So
can
what do
probably
you think
hook
is
you up
true?
with the guy that wrote the book.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about Preston Nichol? Oh, not him. He's dead, right?
Cook. Peter Moon.
Peter Moon. Yeah, he could probably hook you up with that guy if you want.
I would love that, actually. What you brought up something that I think I was listening to a podcast that you were doing on it, and I had never heard this before, and I hadn't read the full book. I had skimmed through Preston Nichol's book and listened to a bunch of his Art Bell interviews, but there were people who believed themselves to be Montauk boys, and what they did, Monica, is they wiped their memories. They say that the memories were wiped, so it would only come up in dreams, and they would think that I'm a Montauk boy, and so they would go to Preston Nichols because they wanted guidance, and Preston Nichols would always lend them a hand, right? So tell us about that.
A literal hand, dude.
No.
Yeah, it got really creepy and very uncomfortable. And so when we were interviewing one of the guys that says he's a Montauk boy, this is hand to God. We brought in a hypnotist. When she started hypnotizing him, I hand to God, the lights and the electricity in the room flickered, dude. And I remember watching it, and I go, what the fuck was that? And it went, and I'm like, dude, you guys see that? And they were like really quiet on it. It's crazy, dude. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, they all had that creepy beta, that skin that pedos have. You ever see their skin? It's like
it's Bill Gates skin.
Waxy.
It's like pizza skin. Pizza. That's probably why they call it Pizzagate, because they all have pizza skin, and they all had that kind of like, I couldn't talk to a real adult, so I gotta fucking, be a predator with kids. 100%. There was a lot of like hand jobs. I think hand jobs were flowing at Montauk. If that's what you're getting at, I 100% believe.
Yeah,
Is that what you were getting at, Binkley?
Yeah, that's how Preston would check to see if they were Montauk boys. Is he would like feel over their energy and then beat them off.
Yeah. Well,
which is
that's bad. Yeah. You remember when somebody at
and he admitted this.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's like,
that's
dude,
messed up.
Yeah, it's messed. Dude, it's like unbelievable what we put up with, And it's just like, I don't know if people just don't want to rock the boat, or they're afraid they say something that's not true, then I don't know, man. But it just the politicizing of pedophilia is probably the biggest sad part of this whole thing.
Bellamy Fitzpatrick really has the answer. It's that the communities are too big. That there were communities of 150, which is like a normal amount that you can keep track of people. And people can't, if they're sick, you can help them. They can't milk it. They're not kidnapping your kids. Anyway, that's a whole nother. We can't keep him any longer. He's got to rush home to his 4-month-old twins.
Oh, dude, I think about it all the time.
Monica's getting some joy out of that.
He's got a gun.
I always think, like, I really worry about the guest's time, but I'm like, there's no chance that he would rather. Well, never mind.
I love being with my kids. I love them very much. I do have to get back to them.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you guys. Your show deserves all the listeners in the world. You guys are the two best researchers I get to talk to. So I always enjoy talking to it. I'm sorry I talked over you guys.
No,
I get
great.
so excited, and I'm just a knucklehead. But I'm glad we have you guys in the books to come on my show.
Yes, thank you.
Excited about that. And Monka, I always have your boy on my Patreon. We do a Patreon together. I don't invite you because I just don't want to bother you. I'm like a weird guy. Like I feel like
here's the problem. I don't have the comic sensibility. I can have if you and I wanted to have a
funny as fuck.
I can have a little bit. I don't have that. You know, when you start talking about beating off and stuff, I really don't know what the comeback to that is. I'm like, eh.
Well, my point is that if you ever want to join us, I'd love to have you. I just don't want to bother you, and that's being sincerely true. Like
he told me that. Yeah,
But I'm absolutely only going to do it if I can bring a cocktail. I don't know if that's off limits on.
Dude, listen, I'm a drug addict. Get weird. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, I thought you were on the
No, dude, I'm sober, but it's like,
cocktails
aren't going to scare me. The more crazy, the better. I don't even give it.
I'll do anything if I can have a cocktail.
Yeah.
We should do a Patreon party. We should invite him to one of our Patreon
parties.
parties.
Oh, would you do that? We have the funnest parties.
Oh, I would do that, dude. I'd love that.
That would be great.
Patreon. I'm getting my subscriber star going. I got 0 subscribers there. I want
I really love it
because it's a matter of time.
Don't do it. They're going to deplatform you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just a matter of time before they come after that too, which sucks.
I'm loving it.
If I'm paying for it and it's legal, they won't let us have our fun.
Tell people where they can find you right now.
I'm in Hollywood. I'm on Melrose. On you can find me on Twitter. It's at TinfoilHatCast. On Instagram, it's still at Sam Tripoli. I have a couple podcasts. I have the Tinfoil Hat podcast with Sam Tripoli. I have Punch Drunk Sports. If you love sports, it's probably, if not the original, one of the first comedy sports podcasts. And then I have my new one called Broken Simulation, and I'm just doing that as comedy. There's no political shit. It's not niched. And I call it the Sports Center for the Apocalypse. And it just basically we go over all the ridiculous stuff. So you can check that out. And then I'm on Patreon. I have multiple Patreons. I have Tinfoil Hat Cast, Tinfoil Hat, and then Punch Drunk Sports, and then Broken Simulation. Any of those, check them out. Go to brokensimulation.com. Now, here's the thing. Final thing. I do stand up. I put out a special that I love. I love this special. It's called Live from the Viper Room. It's 2-part series. One's called Armageddon, and the other one's called Zero Fucks. And you can watch those for free on at samtripoli.com.
I'm doing that
Check it out
now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go make a cocktail, and I'm going to watch those right now.
Fantastic.
I think I'm maybe permanently relocating to your neck of the woods there, Sam.
Really?
So, yes. Yeah.
I would love that if you guys are here, and I'd love that.
Yes, it would be super fun. It would be super fun.
I mean, like
chemtrails, but that's okay.
Let me ask you a question, Tim. You went to UNLV, right?
Yeah.
You were after the 1990 team. You were there after that, right?
1 year after I got Jerry Tarkanian's final season. They went 26-2. J.R. Ryder was our senior. We were the #1 team in the land, and they wouldn't let us go to the tourney.
Oh, you guys got banned. Yeah. I'm a huge Georgia Tech fan. My brother played baseball at Tech. I think I told you he got drafted by the Dodgers, and he played at the same time that Kenny Anderson and all those guys were there. So I remember that Final Four against UNLV. I was just a kid, but it crushed my soul because Tech was winning at halftime. And now during the quarantine, I've gone back and started watching old Georgia Tech games, but not games that they win because that wouldn't feel right. I only watch games that rip my heart out, and I just recently watched that UNLV game.
What
terrible.
season was that? The year they won it all?
Yeah, that was the year they won it all. It was Georgia Tech. They beat Duke by 30. Yeah.
Well, do you know the difference between the team that blew out Duke and the team that lost Duke was Grant Hill. Nobody ever talks about that Grant Hill.
That's right.
Was the freshman that shut down Stacey Augmon and completely changed the game.
Yeah, Tech couldn't stop Stacey Augmon.
I'm just going to tell you this, man. I can't stand the NCAAs. It's all coming out now. I love Zion Williams. He's a wonderful guy. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I've been watching him since he was a kid on YouTube. He's the first player. Yeah. I never was really into LeBron. Zion Williams is the first one that I watched somewhat come out of the womb dunking on people. I've been watching him flying through the air. Like he's like 6, swatting kids, like dunking in 6th grade, man.
He's a beast.
Like he's a beast. But he so obviously got paid to go to Duke.
Of course.
But the problem is that Nike and ESPN have completely manipulated the sports landscape. They put their thumb on competition, and if you're a Nike school, you don't get messed with. But if you aren't a Nike school, they pound on you. Duke and Alabama football are both Nike schools, and they completely cheat and get players, and they don't get anything done because ESPN likes them because they get ratings, and it fucking sucks. LSU, Arizona, UNLV, all not part of the cool kids, and that's why the NCAA hits them. They should have get rid of the. Do you know that the college football playoff system is not part of the NCAA? It is a Power 5 conference. That's who owns it. They should go to that to the tournament as well. Just get rid of the NCAA. These old idiots who are digging programs because kids take money when all these other kids are taking money to go to these blue chip fucking programs. So at Duke, I love UNLV. I always think about moving back there.
Meanwhile, Georgia Tech, my team, hasn't made the NCAA tournament in 10 years. They get banned. They get NCAA tournament banned for giving the guy $50 to go to a strip club.
It's the biggest con ever. They just want these brands to win. It's like when Adam Silver is you just got me on another thing. Adam Silver is the worst GM in the history of GMs in an era of GMs. Nobody likes any GMs. I don't know.
He's the commissioner.
Excuse me. Thank you. I've been saying that. I don't know the Major League Soccer commissioner. I don't know enough about it. Seems like the league's grown. God bless it. Okay. The other 4 major sports, the commissioners are the worst commissioners. Nobody likes any of their commissioners. That's never happened before. And in an era of the worst commissioners, Adam Silver is the Michael Jordan of dog shit commissioners. What he's done to this league, and it's not just because I hate that he kowtowed and tried to suck Chinese dicks, and that's why he shut everything down. The numbers are down. Attendance is down. Ratings is down. It's all because he's allowed these players, and we're all political. We do political shows, okay? I don't mind people getting political, but you gotta have the same opinion across the board.
I think it's higher level shit with him. I think that Chinese stuff was political.
Yeah.
Like outside the sports thing.
No, he basically shut down so he could get the NBA back into the fucking China because this whole globalist bullshit, okay? And then he's allowed all of his players to be political, so they're crying about white on black crime in America, but they say nothing about China kicking out Africans, nothing about open-air slave trades in Libya. They don't say anything about that. They're very quiet, but they love to get in the mix to get us all to fight with each other all the fucking time. And it's just like dude, LeBron James by all accounts is the nicest guy. But when it comes to business, he's a fucking globalist, and dude, their ratings were really bad this year. And it's going to be even worse next year when people start to take a look at Adam Silver and his role in this whole hysteria.
And look what happened to Steph Curry when he said that stuff about the moon landing. And Max Kellerman was all over his shit. And Max Kellerman presided over that fixed fight, Triple G and Canelo. I was at that fight, and it was absolutely fixed. And Kellerman covered it up for the rest of the world. Those guys, it's for a higher political purpose. That's all I'll say.
Irvin got smeared too for talking about flat Earth. Kyrie Irvin did. They bring up anything, they smear them, they shut it down, and they change their tune. Thank you for joining us today, man. It was awesome.
Last conspiracy. The only team to not announce who the players that had Corona, that tested positive for Corona, were the LA Lakers. Everybody that played the Lakers got Corona. Where were the Corona? Where did the Lakers go? China. Okay? Not only did with the exception of the Clippers, they were the only team not to get Corona. Everybody else that played them in that short period of time got Corona. Okay? And dude, they didn't name the players. Players started coming out going, I'm not the one to have it. I'm not the one to have it. And why were they so quick to name Rudy Gobert as patient zero? Because I believe it was LeBron James.
Whoa.
Interesting. Man, that's a great place to wrap it up. That's
wow.
Thank you for joining us, man. You guys.
I love you guys. I'm so sorry
you.
I cut you off. As I say, I'm sorry I'm cutting you off.
You're crazy. You're crazy. You got that.
I love it, dude.
You got. Thank you. You're the man.
Fantastic energy. Great stuff. Everybody check out Sam's stuff. His podcast is awesome. He's a great comic. Watch it. Follow him. Support him as he's getting banned from social media. And you guys can find our stuff at thepropreport.com. We do a daily show, do a 30-minute news show, drive time news blast every single day. You can find Monica at the Monica Perez Show on Twitter and me at Freedom Act Radio on Twitter. That is until we get kicked off. I don't know how much longer we might be there, but thanks for listening, guys. And we will talk to y'all next time.
Maskman! I love it.